Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
This book tells a story about a big change happening in America. It is happening in the important car industry. For many years, some of the biggest car companies from other countries have built many of their cars in the United States. They built large factories and operations here. This helped the American economy grow and gave many American people good jobs in manufacturing. Two very important companies in this story are Toyota and Honda. They are from Japan. These companies have worked in the U.S. for a long time, for decades. They have invested many billions of dollars in building their business here. They have many large factories in different states and employ tens of thousands of American workers directly, plus many more indirectly. But now, these companies are facing a big problem caused by new rules from the American government about trade with other countries. These new rules started what people call a trade war. A key part of these new rules is a special tax, or tariff. It is a high tax of 25%. This tax is on cars and many important parts for cars that come from outside the country. This 25% tax is very high for companies that rely on global supply chains. It makes everything much more expensive for companies like Toyota and Honda to build cars in America. The tax on parts they need and on any finished cars they might bring in costs them a huge amount of money. It is causing them to lose a lot of their profit. Some reports show billions of dollars in losses for these companies. The new rules were perhaps meant to help American factories. But because the cost of building cars in the U.S. is now so high due to the tax, Toyota and Honda are changing their future plans in a big way. They are deciding to move some of their money for future growth and some of their plans for new factories and new jobs to other countries instead of America. This is a very big change. Most of this money and these plans are going to countries in Asia, especially China. This is a significant shift. It is something that has not happened on this scale before for these companies and the U.S. economy. Companies that used to invest strongly in building things in America are now putting billions of dollars into other places around the world. This is the start of what some people call a great American move away from the U.S. for these big car companies. It means big changes and difficulties for American workers and communities that depend on these car factories for their lives. This book will explain why this important shift is happening and what the future might hold for the car industry and American jobs. 2. A new tax on cars. Chapter 2 is titled A New Tax on Cars. This chapter is about a new rule made by the President of the United States. This rule put a large tax on cars and car parts that were made in other countries and brought into America. This tax was 25% of the price of the car or the part. So, if a company wanted to bring something in, they had to pay much more money to the government. The government stated that the main goal of this tax was to help America. They said it was to protect American jobs in factories and encourage manufacturing here. The president wanted to make it more attractive for car companies to build cars inside the United States instead of importing them ready-made from places like Japan or Europe. However, this 25% tax was not only on complete cars. It also applied to many necessary parts used in building cars. Things like engines, transmissions, brakes, and electronic systems were taxed. Many of these critical components are not easily made in the U.S. at a low price or in large numbers. So, companies building cars in America often needed to buy these parts from overseas, now facing the high 25% tax. Japanese car companies, such as Toyota and Honda, have been a significant part of the American car industry for decades. They made huge investments, putting billions and billions of dollars into building large manufacturing plants across different states. They created thousands of jobs for American people. Over 55,000 Americans work directly in their factories. These companies have been important employers in many local communities for a long time. But with the new 25% tax in place, the expenses for these companies rose sharply. The cost of bringing in the parts needed to build cars in America became very high. This made the overall process of manufacturing cars in their U.S. plants too costly. Because of the increased expenses, it became difficult for them to build cars profitably in the United States. The new tax created a big problem for their American operations. 3. Moving to a new country. Because building cars in the United States became very expensive, Japanese car companies started looking at other places. They needed to make a big change in their plan. They looked towards Asia, especially China. China has a very large market for cars, and this was important for their future growth. Toyota, a very large car company, made a big decision. They announced they would invest $2 billion in Shanghai, China. This money is for building a new factory. This factory will make electric cars. It was a clear sign that Toyota saw its future in Asia, not only in America. Nissan, another important Japanese car maker, also put more money into China. They decided to add $1.4 billion to their work there. Nissan plans to make 10 new electric car models in China in the next few years. Honda, a third big Japanese car company, also made changes. They did not make big announcements like Toyota and Nissan, But they started working with companies in China quietly. These partnerships are about making new battery technology for electric cars. If you add the money from Toyota and Nissan, it is a total of $3.4 billion. This large amount of money was planned for possible projects in the United States before, but now this investment money is going to China instead. This is a very big move for these companies. It shows a major shift in where these car companies think the future of making cars will be. They are moving important work, like building new factories and developing new technology, to a new country. This decision changes the map of where cars are made in the world. For a long time, Japanese car makers built many cars and created many jobs in America. Now, they are making new plans. These new plans include spending billions of dollars in China for electric cars and new technology. This is a big change from their past plans in the United States. 4. American jobs in danger. The new trade situation with other countries is causing worry for many people in the United States. It is affecting jobs and communities. Car companies like Toyota and Honda have large factories in America. Many Americans work at these factories. More than 55,000 people have jobs directly at these Toyota and Honda plants. These jobs are now in danger because of the higher costs from new trade rules. But the risk is much larger than just the factory workers. Many other jobs depend on the car industry. Experts estimate that about 410,000 more jobs could be lost across the country. These are jobs in companies that supply parts for the cars. They are also jobs in businesses that move cars and parts, and local shops and restaurants. When a big car plant has problems, the businesses that serve the plant and its workers also suffer. This creates a difficult situation for many small towns in America. Some towns depend very much on one large car factory. For example, in parts of Kentucky and Indiana, a big percentage of people work at the local Toyota plant. If such a large plant had to close its doors, even for a short time, it would have a terrible effect. It could mean thousands of jobs are lost directly. Then, all the other businesses that rely on these workers and the factory would also face problems. Local shops might close. The town would have less tax money. This means the whole local economy could be badly hurt or even destroyed. So, the new trade rules and the companies moving some work away create a real danger for hundreds of thousands of American jobs. It is a serious problem for many families and communities across the country. Their future is uncertain because of this difficult situation. 5. A problem for the whole country. The problem does not stop at the big car factories. Many small companies in the United States make parts for cars. They make things like seats, lights, or engine pieces. When the large car companies like Toyota and Honda have trouble or plan to move some work, these smaller American companies lose business. This makes the economic pain spread. It is not just in one town. It goes to many states where car parts are made or cars are put together. People call these areas the automotive corridor. Workers in these places feel worried about their jobs. In some areas, companies have already let go of temporary workers. Some full-time workers are offered money to leave their jobs early. Companies that move car parts around the country also have less work. Ports where many car parts come in or go out see changes. This shows how the problem affects many different kinds of businesses across the United States. There is also a bigger, longer-term problem. Japanese car companies are moving not just jobs that build cars, but also jobs that create new car ideas. This is called innovation. They are moving their research and development work to other countries, especially China. For example, Toyota is building a new big factory in China. This factory will also be a place for working on new ideas for electric car batteries. Honda is working with companies in China on batteries too. This kind of research is important for making better electric cars in the future. If this important work moves away, the United States might not be the leader in making the next best car technologies. Things like how to make batteries safe or how cars should drive themselves are being worked on more in other countries now. The U.S. risks falling behind in the race to make the future of cars. 6. The big plan in China. China presents a strong chance for car companies. Many large companies are now looking to build and grow their business there. There are several clear reasons for this big change and the choice to invest heavily in China. One main reason is the market size and potential. China has the largest market for cars globally. Importantly, it is the biggest market for electric cars in the world by a large amount. The number of people buying electric vehicles in China is growing very quickly each year. This rapid growth offers a huge and attractive opportunity for companies that make electric cars and their parts. Companies see that many millions of electric cars will be sold in China in the coming years. Another very important factor is the help and support from the Chinese government. The government provides strong support to car companies, especially those focusing on new energy vehicles like electric ones. This support includes significant financial help, such as money to build factories, tax benefits, and help with building necessary infrastructure like charging stations. They also work to make the rules for building factories and operating businesses easier and clearer compared to operating in some other countries. This level of clarity and support makes it much more predictable for companies to plan their long-term investments and business strategies. In contrast, the system for car companies in the United States is sometimes seen as more complicated and less predictable. Rules and requirements for car companies can come from many different authorities, including the federal government and individual states. These rules can change, and understanding all of them can be difficult. This makes it harder for companies to feel certain about their plans for many years ahead. Companies making very large investments prefer a stable, clear, and predictable environment to reduce risks. Many other large car companies from around the world also see the benefits of being in China for these reasons. For example, Volkswagen, a very big car maker from Germany, is investing a lot of money in China to expand its business there, especially in electric cars. They are building new large centers for technology development and production. Tesla, an electric car company from the United States, is also continuing to make its large factory in Shanghai even bigger. These companies recognize the huge, growing market for new cars and the significant, consistent support provided by the Chinese government. This move by many global car giants shows that they believe China is a critical place for the future of cars, especially electric ones and the technologies that power them. The combination of a massive and rapidly growing market, strong and reliable government backing, and a clearer path for future development makes China a very attractive alternative for companies looking to invest billions of dollars for the coming decades. This combination of factors is a big part of why Japanese car companies are now shifting their focus and making their significant expansion plans in China, instead of increasing their operations in the United States. It is about finding the best place globally for future growth, stable business operations, and leading the way in the next generation of cars. 7. A political mistake. The American government decided to use a strong tool: tariffs. A tariff is like a tax on goods coming into a country. The president put a large 25% tax on cars and car parts from places like Japan. The main reason for this policy was to protect American jobs and factories. The idea was simple: make it more expensive to import cars so companies would build more cars right here in the United States. However, the real effect was different from the planned effect. The tariffs made it more costly for companies that already had factories in the U.S., like Toyota and Honda. They needed many parts from other countries to build cars in their American plants. The new tax made these parts much more expensive. Building cars in the U.S. became less profitable and harder. Because of this, the Japanese car makers made a big decision. They chose to put billions of dollars of investment into other countries, especially China, instead of expanding in the United States. They built new factories and research centers in these places. This was the opposite of what the U.S. government wanted. The policy meant to bring jobs back home ended up pushing jobs and investment away. This was seen by many as a significant political mistake. The government in Japan reacted strongly to the tariffs. Leaders there said the situation was extremely serious for their economy.
They described the tariffs as a national crisis because the car industry and exports to the U.S. are so important for Japan. The argument over the car tariffs also damaged the political relationship between the United States and Japan. These two countries have a very close alliance and work together on many global issues. But this trade problem caused difficulties and stress between them. It hurt the trust and cooperation they usually share. There was also another major, unplanned result of the U.S. policy. By making America a more difficult place for car companies, it made other countries seem more attractive. China, with its large market and government support, became a preferred location for new investments. Japanese companies moving their operations, research, and development there helped China become a more powerful leader in the world of making cars, particularly electric cars. The American policy meant to help America unintentionally helped strengthen China's position globally. This shows how trade decisions can have wide-reaching and unexpected effects. The goal was to protect American jobs, but the result included harming relationships and helping competitors. 8. What happens next? The story of big car companies like Toyota and Honda moving their work is changing the world. The map that shows where cars are made is not the same anymore. It is like drawing the map again. China is becoming a very strong place for making cars. They are getting many new factories and jobs. At the same time, the United States has big problems. It is losing jobs and money that these companies brought. The cars of the future are electric cars. Making these cars needs new technology. The race to be the best in this technology is very important now. Where companies put their research and new factories shows who is leading. Right now, much of this new work is going to China. Some people think that the government's plan to put a special tax on cars was supposed to help America. The idea was to bring jobs back. But the result was different. The companies moved their work away instead. So the plan had effects that were not wanted. This is called unintended consequences. Sometimes a plan to fix a problem can make it worse. This situation shows how connected the world is. Decisions made in one country can cause big changes far away. The car industry is seeing a big shift now. It is a story about what happens when plans do not work the way they were supposed to. What do you think the U.S. should do now to bring these jobs and investments back?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.